Hey y'all, if you've ever wanted to play like Brad Paisley from his blistering fast guitar solos, his twang and chicken picking, and his signature guitar tone, you are in the right place. In this video, I'm going to break down some signature Brad Paisley guitar riffs and guitar solos, show you a couple secret guitar techniques in order to sound like him more, and get your guitar sounding just like Brad Paisley with a few tweaks of your amp and a few pedals. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned guitar player looking to add some Brad Paisley style to your playing, this is your backstage pass to everything playing and sounding like Brad Paisley. So let's pick up our guitars and let's get into it. Brad Paisley is a monstrous guitar player, and his guitar tone is simply sublime. In this video, I'm going to show you how to achieve that signature guitar tone of his with a minimal amount of effects. So first up, let's talk about the amp. Okay, so for the main hub of Brad Paisley's monstrous tone is a Dr. Z amplifier. For those of you who are uninitiated by the magic that is Dr. Z, let me give you a primer on what you're missing out on. When Brad first started out, he was using a 1963 Vox AC30 in the first album and early touring dates. The tone actually comes from a pair of AC30s that he custom ordered from Vox that was shipped to West Virginia from Great Britain early on during Brad's career. As Brad's touring schedule ramped up, he realized that he couldn't continue to tour with his vintage AC30. It was already showing signs of road wear. Brad quickly realized that he needed a replacement amp that could hold a candle to the 63. Brad found his solution at a guitar shop in Nashville in a Dr. Z Maserati GT. Brad ended up taking that amp and playing it through two Celestion 12-inch Alnico Blues speakers, and now we have the base model for all of Brad's Dr. Z amps. Dr. Z saw Brad playing and reached out to build the perfect amplifier for Brad's playing. Over time, and with a lot of experimentation, actually 4 signature amps to be exact, they finally built the Dr. Z DB4. A hybrid between a Vox AC30 and Kingfisher's Trainwreck mashed together that use EF86 amplifier tubes. This amp is basically an AC30 with a Kingfisher Trainwreck on steroids. It's an insane amount of headroom and has the perfect twang bass for any Paisley-inspired tone. So I play through a Fractal Axe Effects, and I use either the classic AC30 model, a Morgan DC30 amp model, or a combo of both a Dr. Z and a Trainwreck profile to achieve a bassline for the Brad Paisley tone. If you're rocking a modeler, finding one, if not all of these profiles shouldn't be too hard. If you want to play a tube amp, make sure you either grab a Vox AC30 and AC15, or if you're in an apartment like I am, try a low-watt Vox AC10C1. So Brad keeps most of his guitar single chain pretty country standard. There aren't an overly exaggerated amount of guitar effects throughout his single chain, and you can break it down to basically 4 different types of tones. The first one is a clean traditional country tone. Set your amp to the edge of breakup and cut back on the bass just a little bit. This is what you're hearing on songs like Mr. Policeman. Sounds like this. The next Paisley tone is the Trainwreck tone. And if you don't have a Dr. Z amp, you can still get this tone with a Wampler Paisley Deluxe drive using the left side of the pedal. This is the tone that you can hear on songs like Beat This Summer. It sounds like this. The next tone is the Noble's ODR1 tone, which can be achieved by using the right side of the Paisley Overdrive pedal, which is a bit more sustainier than the other side. You can hear this tone on the intro lick of Bucked Off. It sounds like this. The last tone is a modded Tube Screamer tone that's super popular in Nashville right now. And if you have the above-mentioned Wampler Paisley drive, you're in luck. You can achieve this tone easily by adding a minimal amount of gain using the right side of the pedal. So if you don't have this pedal, you can use an old Tube Screamer. Or if you're looking to maximize the footprint of your effects pedals, you can use the Keeley Tone Workstation like this. This pedal is a country player's dream. It includes a raw-style compressor in the left, a clean boost in the middle, and with a flip of the switch, it becomes a Marshall-inspired blues breaker pedal. And finally, on the left side is the Keeley modded Tube Screamer. With the flip of the switch, you get the Baked mod, which adds a little bit of extra sauce on top of this spicy pedal. The modded Tube Screamer sound is the tone that you hear on the intro to Waiting on a Woman, or the solo for Little Moments. It sounds like this. The next part of Paisley's tone is compression, which if you have the aforementioned Keeley Tone Workstation, you already have everything you need. Compression is used by Brad mainly during his intense chicken picking moments. Use a low sustain setting for a subtle volume threshold matching, and use a higher sustain setting for those crazy chicken picking moments. He's definitely using compression during his song Cluster Pluck. Here's a quick snippet. The tone tip number 3 is delay. And delay is super important for country music, and there are multiple different types of popular delays used in Nashville and the red dirt scene right now. The first and most important one is slapback delay. It's a quick, single repeat analog delay that's commonly used with Telecasters. This is what it sounds like. Next is an eighth note delay that trails off a little bit longer. It's used most commonly on guitar solos for that extra sustain. We're gonna go look back at Waiting on a Woman for this one. The last common one right now is a dotted eighth note delay. This is heard on the intro to the song Last Time for Everything. It sounds like this. The next piece of gear you need is a Telecaster, obviously. Brad has played a numerous amount of Teles during his day, but he's most known for playing his custom Crook T-style guitars. Paisley has become so synonymous with Telecasters that even Fender has released a Brad Paisley-inspired Telecaster. Check out the Fender Paisley guitar, along with other applicable affiliate links listed below. Well, that's the core of how to approximate the tone and get a close sound of Brad the Bard. If you're familiar with his playing style and have some other tips of how to achieve his near-perfect tone, let us know in the comment section below. So when we think of the pantheon of country music guitar players, there's one person whose face always comes to the top of the list when we think of modern day chicken pickers, and that's Brad Paisley. Now Brad can shred. He can create any funny, goofy clucking noise at any given moment.
First taste of loving. You were my first cousin.
And take us on a blissful adventure of either a solo or a beautiful melodic line. This lesson is designed for those who are just starting out with country guitar playing. Let's not beat around the bush any longer and get started with lick number 1. All right, so lick number 1 is fan favorite, Alcohol. Make sure you are on the bridge pickup of your guitar. Add a little bit of reverb, and you should be good to go with a little overdrive. Here it is, lick number 1, Alcohol. So lick number 2, same settings as before, bridge pickup, little overdrive. Let's add a little bit of slapback delay to this and get on with lick number 2, Celebrity. So most of the easy Brad Paisley licks are ballads, so let's switch over to the neck pickup and go to lick number 3, Waiting on a Woman.
Sitting on a bench and wet.
So lick number 4 is a little bluesier, slows things down a little bit more. It is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful little lick slash solo. But anyways, here's lick number 4, She's Everything. Well, there you go, folks. There are 4 easy-to-play Brad Paisley licks. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hope you learned something. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to play 3 Brad Paisley guitar licks to add some twang to your own playing. So today we're going to look at 3 easy Brad Paisley licks that everyone needs to know, and everybody needs to steal them, and everybody needs to add them to their own playing. We've talked a lot about Brad Paisley this month. Now it's time to finalize that culmination of August 2020 into a few ideas to start incorporating Brad's own playing into your own playing style. So before we get to the licks, I do want to say that all of them are movable, so they can be played in any key as long as you make the appropriate adjustments. I should also mention that these all use a chicken picking technique, as that's what Brad Paisley is known for. So if you're not familiar with this technique, check out this video here and then come back and learn the licks. Lick number 1 is a pull off to an open string riff. It's pretty nifty and it sounds instantly country. It's a really good easy lick to play when you're trying to play something fast and show off a bit, or if you're trying to improvise and need a little something to bounce around on until you're coming up with your next idea. Alright, so this one's pretty simple. What I'm basically doing is I'm plucking the B string with my middle finger. I'm not giving you the finger, I'm just showing you I'm plucking the B string with my middle finger and picking the G, open G string. So I'm basically walking down the scale, the G major scale. It really depends on what key you're in or what scale you're using. But I'm using the G major scale and I'm walking my way down from E, pluck the D, pluck the C, back to the D, back to the C, and then I'm taking this A and bending it and pulling it off to the open G, all while I'm droning on with that G note with the pick. So pluck the E, pick the G, same with the D, pluck the D, pick the E, pluck the C, pick the G, pluck the D, pick the G, pluck the C, pick the G, pick, bend, and release the A, pull off to a G. Pretty simple. You want the pull-off note to be the chord that is being played underneath, or at least the note that's in the key of the song that you're playing. As you have to have a drone note as the bass note in the lick, this will work over an A, D, G, B, or an E chord. If you're playing something different over a different chord or in another key, just slap on a capo on either frets 1 or 2, and you'll have any note you need to play this lick. So lick number 2 is all about the minor pentatonic box and playing down the scale while doubling back on some parts. You can clearly hear Brad playing it during the song Cluster Pluck. It's super easy, and if you've ever learned the beginning part of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, this will be super familiar for you. Check it out. So basically we're playing an A minor pentatonic scale here, adding a few flourishments and ending with a bent note right before the end note. The last bent note should be 3 semitones or 3 frets above the final note. So let's break it down real quick. First, we're bending on the 7th fret of the G string very quickly. And then we're going to the 5th fret on the B and the E string. Pull off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret. Grab the initial 7th fret on the G string. And then back to the 5th fret on the B string. I found that hybrid picking, chicken picking really helps here. So pluck, so bend with the first note, pick with the B note or the B string, pick with the E string, pull off on the B string with a pick, grab the 7th fret of the G string, pick it, and then pluck the E note on the B string. And then here we're just going to walk down the rest of the pentatonic scale, just picking. From here, go to that, go down 2 frets, that 3rd from the last note you want to land on, bend. So we're just going to walk down the pentatonic scale. Go down 2 frets once you get here, bend that note, and then bend, release to a pull-off. What's cool is you can add this into any other key, except for you can't pull it off to a bent note, but you can slide it down to whatever your end note wants to be. So if you want to do it in C, I'll do it real slow. Or E. So lick number 3 is a classic pedal steel lick. This lick tries to emulate the sweet, sweet sounds of the pedal steel, the most country guitar instrument out there. Here are 2 examples of what I mean. All right, so these pedal steel licks are pretty easy. The first one, we're gonna take the B string, 12th fret, B note, bend it up a full step. And while we're holding it up there, we're gonna take our pinky finger and pluck this E note on the 12th fret of the E string like this. And with the B note still being bent, go back to pick it and release it. Sounds like this. All right, for the second one, same concept except for the G and B strings. We're gonna take the 11th fret on the G string, bend it up a full note. Grab the B on the B string. And release just like the other one. Pretty simple, right? You can get even crazier by adding more pluck strings before releasing the bent note like this. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing as before. Bend the B note, pluck the E, go back and pick the B note. Don't release yet. Now you're gonna take your pointer and grab this D note and pluck it. Now go back to the B and release. So, all this whole time you're holding the B until the very end. So bend the B, pluck the E, pick the B, pluck the D. Pick the B and release. Now for this next lick, we're gonna do the same thing as before. Take the F sharp, bend it up to a G sharp, pluck the B. But this is where things get a little bit differently. We're gonna go back to the bent F sharp note, pluck it, but don't release it. And with our pointer finger, now we're gonna grab the A note on the B string. Now go back to the F sharp, bend and release. So it sounds like this. Or you can combine both of those pedal steel licks to create an even longer extended passage. It sounds like this. Now for the final pedal steel lick, we're going to combine the 2 licks we said before and add a little bit on the end, so it sounds like this. This is when finger placement really matters. So for this one, make sure you're bending with your ring finger and your middle finger. And then when you come up to this one, make sure you're bending with your middle finger. And then for the end, I like to add the little Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings kind of motif. E, hammer onto F sharp, slide to G sharp, pluck the B, go back to the G sharp, slide back to the F sharp, and on the E. Fast style chicken picking was always way too complex for me to learn when I first started out playing. But learning a few simple licks like this and adding it into my own playing helped me coax more country twang out of my own guitar. Do you want to learn how to play guitar like Brad Paisley? Like this? Now with his flashy licks, blistering solos, and incredible and humorous songwriting skills, it's no wonder that every country guitar player looks up to Brad the Bard and wishes to acquire guitar skills in the same galactic hemisphere. Now Brad's an incredible player, and that's why I've dedicated the whole month to study and explore his playing. So if you want to unravel the mysteries of Brad's playing and learn a few guitar licks along the way, make sure to subscribe now so you never miss out on a Paisley video. While I can't give you a truck full of Dr. Z amps crook guitars, and a lifetime of practice and devotion to the art, I can't give you 5 tips to help you sound and play closer to Brad Paisley. So let's strap on our boots, pick up our telly, and get to plucking. All right, so tip number 1 is required listening. If you look at who inspired Brad to pick up the guitar at an early age, you can start to pick out their influences on his playing. Like any guitar player of Brad's generation, he grew up listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. But we need to go deeper and beyond the obvious. Go a step further and you're at the Eagles. Go even beyond that and you're at Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. Chances are you know who the Eagles are, but maybe you're still wondering who Uncle Buck is. For you, here's a quick overview. Buck Owens was a singer-songwriter and guitar player who rose to prominence in the 70s by bringing country back to its traditional honky-tonk roots out in Bakersfield, California. This was all going on while Music Row was experimenting with the Nashville sound. Buck Owens was also known as the co-host for variety TV show Hee Haw for 17 years. But it was Buck's band leading and guitar player Don Rich's snappy Telecaster sounds that really captured Paisley's attention. Don Rich and Buck Owens went on to pioneer what's known as the Bakersfield sound, a subgenre of country music that mixes in rock and roll and rockabilly and uses classic country instruments such as the fiddle, banjo, and pedal steel guitar, all instruments that weren't being used widely in Nashville at the time. So Brad said that one of his earliest musical moments was listening to Buck Owens' Tiger by the Tail with his granddad. So if you want to learn how to play like Brad Paisley, you gotta listen to Buck Owens. So for homework and required listening, you need to listen to Tiger by the Tail, Act Naturally, Foolin' Around, Sam's Place, and My Heart Skips a Beat. Awesome. Now that we've gotten a healthy dose of Buck, it's time to look at the playing style of Paisley. The technique that Brad uses the most is a variation of hybrid picking known as chicken picking. Chicken picking is a technique that uses a pick and the middle and ring fingers all at the same time. The player uses the pick as they normally would, but then uses the middle and ring fingers to pluck and snap other strings to make a clucking sound kind of like this. If you're not familiar with hybrid picking, it might take some while to get used to it. But once you've got it underneath your belt, you'll never play guitar the same way. Brad has practiced this technique to perfection. Then he goes and adds crazy fast licks that wouldn't be possible with traditional picking. Here's a quick example. So how does one make this clucking sound with their guitar? First, take your pick and hold it in between your thumb and index finger like this. Next, bring up your middle and ring fingers to the palm of your hand like this. These 2 fingers in this motion is what's going to make the clucking sound. Now assign the pick and each of the fingers to a different string and play all 3 strings at the same time. You could also play them independently from one another, similar to a banjo roll, like this. Or pick first, then pluck. The applications for chicken picking is essentially limitless. But if you're interested in digging deeper into this technique, you can check out the chicken picking lesson here in the card or in the link in the description box below. But Colt, what should I play while I'm chicken picking? And that's a perfect question to segue into tip number 3, playing sixths. Now sixths is an interval between 2 notes in a scale that are 6 notes apart. Here's the G major scale. Notice that there's an unfretted, unplayed string in between both of the notes. This is the same for all the other string sets as well. This string skipping lends itself perfectly for chicken picking. If you play part of that scale backwards and end on the G, you get that classic country turnaround ending, like this. Now let's take that same lick and spice it up a bit by picking and clucking at different times and adding a little bit of chromaticism in there to make it sound like this. Brad often uses sixths after fast, challenging parts, like the intro to Nervous Breakdown. I think this is his way of breaking things up a bit and giving him some time to rest. It also doesn't hurt that it sounds really cool. The next piece of advice to play like Brad Paisley is to use a G bender. A G bender is a mechanical device that when activated pulls your G string all the way up to a minor third. This helps your guitar emulate the classic pedal steel sound. Most guitars don't come with B benders or G benders for that matter. If you want to play G bender and B bender style licks without hacking up your guitar, check out this video here. It goes over a technique called behind the nut bend. This technique allows you to play those style of licks without any benders on your guitar. All right, so tip number 5 to play like Brad Paisley is to use hammer-ons and pull-offs, particularly hammer-ons and pull-offs in the open position. So if you look at the examples earlier in the video, you'll notice that this tip is also applicable to those tips as well. So for this technique, you need to know the 5 main guitar scales in open position. Those are C, A, G, E, and D, the notes of caged. You'll have to chicken pick and hammer on and pull off at the same time in order to get the Brad Paisley sound. But it sounds really cool. Check it out. You obviously want to play the corresponding scale on top of the chords underneath, but change up your picking patterns to create your own sound. A lot of these concepts came from Brad's autobiography, Diary of a Player. It's a must-read for any Brad Paisley fan. So if you're interested in grabbing yourself your own copy, there's a link down in the description box along with other applicable affiliate links. Now that you're in the same mindset as Brad, hopefully you can start playing like him too. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. And if you really want to learn country music at its core, check out my book, The Country Guitar Book. It has 140 pages over music theory, guitar selections, gear selections, choices, the techniques that you need to know. So there'll be a link in the description box below. Hey guys, how are you doing? Today we're going to be talking about 3 easy to play Brad Paisley solos that everybody should learn how to play. Now I do want to preface this that saying this is easy to play Brad Paisley solos, so these are still a bit challenging, on the more challenging side. If you've been playing guitar for a while and you know how to play some solos, check this out. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be a little challenging, but it's gonna be on the easy side. If you've never played lead work before, maybe skip this one. So if you want to skip me rambling, go to this timestamp here. And all of y'all who are still left, let's talk about these solos for a minute, right? Because these are Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley's a monstrous guitar, but these 3 solos will get you in the mindset of how Brad approaches his lead guitar playing. Now that I think about it, the third one, a little bit different, maybe not Brad's main style playing, but stay around to the end, check it out, it's really cool. So these 3 solos serve as the building blocks for a lot of other Brad Paisley solos. A lot of the techniques that he plays and utilizes in these 3 solos are utilized and expanded upon in other Brad Paisley solos. So if you master these 3 solos and these 3 techniques, it will make learning other Brad Paisley solos a lot easier. So enough of the yapping, let's get to picking. So first up is Old Alabama, Brad Paisley featuring Alabama. It's a little homage to Dixieland Delight, one of Alabama's most famous songs. The solo is very melodic, a lot of fun, a little bit of finesse with that G bender. Since we don't have a G bender, we're having to bend the G string at the 2nd fret, so that's a little bit of the challenging part. And then there's a weird picking pattern at the end. Once you get the picking pattern down, it becomes a lot easier. But so what you want to do is you start at the 7th fret of the G string and basically hammer it on to the 9th fret. Like that. So 7, 9. So that's the first passage, kind of like do, do, do. So it's 7, hammer on to 9, 8, 10, bend. And it's kind of like a quick, like, so it's like a half bend, release, full bend. All in 10th fret, so. And then with your pinky, grab the 10th fret. Very country style lick right there, a little chicken picking. And then 8, hammer on 10 twice. Now we're going back down to the first position, hammer on the E on the 2nd fret, pluck the G, open G, and then grab the G and bend at the 2nd fret. This is where a G bender would be really helpful, but we don't have one, so we're going to use a little finesse here. So, and then pull it off. So he plays it pretty fast, so if you don't get the full bend there, like you can even do a half bend. If you do it fast enough, you can hide it a little bit. And this is where the fun part gets, the picking pattern I was mentioning. I like to hybrid pick, a little chicken pick in here, but you can do it whatever's comfortable for you. But first you want to pull off from the 5 to the 3 on the B string, so the E to D to open. So that's the first part. So we have this so far. And then we're going to go slide from the 3 to the 4 to an open string. I like to snap with my finger here. Next part is the same thing as the beginning of the lick. Hammer on the 2. And then pluck that G. So it's... And then we're going to come down here and do the same kind of motion. On the A string, 1st fret, 2nd fret, pluck the D string. 1, 2, pluck, 1, pluck. And then 2 to 3 to slide it all in and home. All right, so up next is Little Moments, another great Brad Paisley tune. This one requires a little bit of that same finesse we were talking about, especially with that G bender on the lower fret bends, but it has some fun, fast hammer-ons to open positions later on the neck. And it just ends with a simple walk down. It's really cool, so check it out. So we'll start off with 2 low E chugs, and then hammer on from 2 to 4, pull it off on the D string, and then 4 on the A string, and then 2 on the D string, and then slide from 2 to 4 on the A string. So 4, bend down slightly, and then a little bit more. 2 to open E, and then we're gonna do our fun little speed run from 0 to 4, all hammer-ons. And on the last one on the G string, when you hammer it on, bend it up a full step. If you had a G bender, this is where it'd be helpful, but we don't have G benders, but. And then 2, 2 on the G string. And this is where it gets really tricky. You have to go bend that D note on the B string up to an E. And it's important that you get it all the way up or as close as possible, because we're going to be sliding into it after we release the bend. So. So you bend up to it, release it, and slide into it. Slide down to a D shape, like a CD shaped, or your caged C shape for D, like this. And then you're gonna go kind of like a banjo roll twice, and then on the second time, hit that 4th fret of the D string. Slide up to the A on your D string. So this is what we have so far after the fast part. And now it's very melodic. You should be able to figure that out by sound, but you're bending up from the 5th fret of the B. Let go. Pick the 3rd. Pick the 5th. Bend at the 4th at the G string. This is where it gets a little complicated. From there, we're going to go slide down. Pick the 9th of the G. So 9th, 10th of the B, 12th of the B, and bend it up. Pick the 10 with your pinky finger. And then come down here, grab the 9th of the G again. And then the 11th of the G and bend it up. So grab the 12th. So you're basically walking up scale. So 9, 11, 14, 16. And then skip down to the B string. 14, 15, 17, 14 of the G. Get the 17th of the high E. 14 of the G again. 14 of the high E. And then take this B on the 17th fret. Bend it up and release it. Grab the 14th of D. And then we'll do a little kind of flourish from the 14 to the 15 of the B string. And then the same thing on the G string. And then walk it down. So 16, 14, 16, 14, 12. Land on the A of your A string. All right, so last one is Whiskey Lullaby. It is the dobro kind of solo during the la la la's, like at the end of the song. Not entirely sure if it's Brad Paisley, but it's a Brad Paisley song. It sounds fantastic. So here it goes. Make sure you have your slide. If you're having some trouble with slide, check out this video right here. It goes over slide 101. If you've never played slide before, this might be a little bit challenging for those at first. This video right here covers all of the basics, and then you can come back here and learn this beautiful, hauntingly beautiful solo. So this first part is all on the G string. We'll start by sliding from the 4 to the 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 11. And then becomes the recognizable melody. You start from 9 to slide to 11. And you pluck the 11 and then slide back down to the 9. You go to the 7, then the 6, and the 4. Basically, make your way backwards. And then for the second go around, you go slide to 9 to 11. Basically, do the same thing, but once you get to the 7, slide back up to the 9, and then up to the 12, like this. So this is what we have so far. There's a few more la la la's, and then the final little bit. We're going to start on the 10 of the B string now, and slide up to the 12. So we go from 10 to 12, 10, 11 on the G string, 9, 7. Before that 11 on the G string, I can slide into it a little bit like a... Now for the ending, we're going to take from the 12 on the B string, slide up to the 14, and then the 15, and the 14. So we're going 12, 14, 15, 14, 12, slide down to 10, back up to 12, grab the G at the 12th fret to end it. So it would help if I raise my bridge settles up a little bit, but we're gonna press on and move on. Give it a nice little shake, and that's how you play the outro solo, the dobro outro solo to Whiskey Lullaby. All right, there you go. Those are 3 easy to play Brad Paisley solos. Hope you got a little bit of a challenge there, but for Brad Paisley solos, those were a little bit easier than some of his other stuff. Although that last one may or may not have been played by Brad, but it's a Brad Paisley solo and a Brad Paisley song, so there you go. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on another country video. Like it if you found it helpful. Today we want to talk about a special technique that you need to know how to play if you're going to play country music, and that's chicken picking. Now, chicken picking is a type of hybrid picking, but it's a little bit different than the hybrid picking, as it's a lot more percussive. You use your fingers to pull up on the strings, and the strings slap back at the frets and gives it a kind of chicken clucking sound, kind of like this. Well, I'm not exactly sure where this playing technique originated from. Undoubtedly, you can hear it all the way back to the 40s and 50s with James Burton picking over Elvis Presley and Emmylou Harris records. I think he started in the 40s? I might be wrong there. Might have been the 50s. Anyways, Elvis Presley, Emmylou Harris, James Burton, hear chicken picking all over those records. It's a really cool technique, and today I'm going to teach you the basics of chicken picking. So chicken picking is kind of like a catch-all for like a country plucking sound of playing. So today we're going to go over a little bit of the basics. Let's first start off with just a single note chicken picking. Now with this technique, you want to play and mute the note that you're playing to get that kind of cluck sound, like. Because if you don't mute it, it just kind of sounds like this. Kind of gets there, but the real sauce, the real magic is in the muted ghost notes. So what you want to do is take your pick, hold it in between your first finger and your thumb, and then you're going to pluck with either your middle finger like this or your ring finger like this, or both. Pick, pluck, pick, pluck. And let's grab this let's grab this A note on the G string, the 4th fret, and just go pick, pluck. So you can tell like they have, it's the same A note, right? But it's different. It's a different tonality. You hear the regular pick and then the pluck of the finger. You hear it slapping the frets to give it that plucking sound. So this technique is very much a loud and muted technique. So you want to pick hard, you want to pluck hard, but you also want to mute the strings too. It's like an accent. You're accenting the notes with your pluck or your pick. Find it easier to play some of old songs that I used to know how to play with just flat picking, but now it's more effective and more efficient by hybrid picking, like the kind of like the breakdown riff for Sweet Home Alabama. So when I get to that D, I pluck the D chord and I pluck the C chord, and it just, I mean, it sounds fine either way. Like, it just sounds a lot more southern, a little bit more twangy when you pluck it. So speaking of chords, D chords and C chords, let's move on to a chord. Let's take an A chord, open A chord. And this time we're going to pluck the open A string. Pick the open A string and pluck the D and G string. So the next chicken picking technique, it's kind of a pedal steel inspired lick. It's where you're going to bend a note, hold the bend, and while it's being held, pluck another note, come back to the held bent note, pluck it, and then release it. Sounds like this. Very pedal steel like. So what I'm doing is grabbing the E note on the G string, plucking it, or picking it, and then I'm going up to the F sharp note, and I'm bending it. And you can either go E, F sharp, bend, or you can go E into the bend and kind of bend at the same time as you're picking. Two different ways, you get a lot more miles out of both of those. So same notes are being played, just they sound not drastically different, but they do sound different enough where it's two different techniques. So E, F, bend, and then while that F is still ringing out, I take my ring finger, grab the B on the 12th fret of the B string, pluck, come back to the F sharp bent note, pick it, release the bend, and then go back to the E. All right, so the last way I'm going to show you how to use it is in a popular country song. You probably know it. It's a Luke Bryan song, Country Girl, Shake It For Me. That intro riff, very chicken picking, very plucky. It's actually pretty hard to play it without chicken picking. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like with chicken picking versus just regular flat picking. And you can tell how more percussive and how much more like the song it actually sounds like when you chicken pick. So this is the riff that I'm talking about. It's... So you can tell it still sounds like Country Girl, Shake It For Me. It's not nearly as tight. It's not as country. It's not as snappy. You have notes droning on in the background. It sounds kind of messy. So if you want to learn how to play country music, you got to learn how to chicken pick. Hopefully this video set you off in the right direction. Hit the like button if you found this video helpful. Hey, I'm going to show you how to play G bender and B bender style licks without having a bender installed on your guitar. Now a bender is a mechanical device that's permanently installed in your guitar. When it's engaged, it pulls either the B string or the G string up a major third, or the equivalent of 3 frets. The bender was invented in 1967 by Gene Parsons, who was looking to play pedal steel style licks on his guitar. A lot of the licks that he was trying to play would have been impossible on a normal guitar, but with a B bender installed, he can nail those licks on a dime. As you can tell, quite a lot of wood has to be removed from the Telecaster's body in order to make the B bender's mechanical parts fit. The best way to play pedal steel licks without hacking up your guitar is to play behind the nut bends. A behind the nut bend is played by pressing down on the string in between the nut and the tuning peg of your guitar. This technique can be used on any of the strings, but I prefer to use them on the high E, the B, and the G string, as those are the strings that are easiest to bend. The first way that I like to use the behind the nut bend is to take minor triads on the top 3 strings and bend them into major triads. So if we take the 3 inversions for a D triad on the top 3 strings and turn them into a minor triad like this, we can then play the minor triads, and then with the behind the nut bend, bend the minor third up to a major third and get that pedal steel sound like this. Another popular bender style lick is to add a behind the nut bend after you're playing a musical passage. This is especially cool when you pull off to an open string, like this. Well, those are just a few pedal steel and bender style licks that you can play on your guitar utilizing a behind the nut bend.
But playing like Brad Paisley is just a portion of playing country guitar music. It's a large portion, but it's simply just a portion. And if you really want to understand the ins and outs of country guitar playing, you're going to want to check out this video over here. I'll see you over there, and until next time, let the music play.